Welcome to the Fayette County Alumni Club event. We appreciate you being here. That's okay. Again. Okay. Welcome again. I appreciate you being here for our photographic journey with Dr. Mike. I'm Charles Bennett. I'm the current alumni. I'm honored to be the current alumni club president. We have a great group of people working in the club. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Michael Huang and really appreciate all the efforts he's put in. If you would give him a hand, please.
Thank you, Charlie. All right, I'll talk. I'll just say a bunch of thank yous while we're waiting on people to come in. Well, really want to thank the Fayette County UK Alumni Club for putting this on in the UK Alumni Association. Jack Galt with the Alumni Association has done a lot to help with this, getting this all set up and booked. And then Charlie, his daughter Katie Bennett, Tanya Parsons, who else? Is that that's the committee, right? Yeah, and yeah, Debbie. They've really been helpful. So we have a silent auction that's online. If you want to scan this QR code, you have to create an account on this 32 auction site. But let me see how much these things are going for right now. I think we're going to get a bargain. So this is one of those silent auctions where you get stuff cheaper than it's worth. So right now, the signed Mike Smith Justify, Triple Crown winner, it's a beautiful picture, $125. And this is the steal of the century, the signed, framed Oscar Shibwe print, where it's one of a kind because I took about 10 pictures of the Bahamas and he signed each one of them and he wrote something different on each one. And this one says, Praise Jesus. So Oscar signed that in his own handwriting, Praise Jesus, Oscar Shibwe. It's out there. The auction's going to end at 7 o'clock, but a similar picture went for $825 at a different charity auction. I mean, it's a different group of people, but, $100 right now is a steal. Somebody should just go ahead and put $300 on it or something. It all goes to scholarships. The Johnny Velasquez signed Authentic. That was the Derby winner. Beautiful, garland of roses picture. That's up to $170. Wandale has no bids right now. And that's personally signed by Wandale. That is the Florida, 70-yard catch and run touchdown, and he ran right at me, and the Florida player had the courtesy to fall down right in the end zone and give me this great picture just right there. So, that's also, it's a 20 by 30 canvas print. You can see it out there. And then Will Levis has a $100 similar thing to Oscar. So, would love for you all. Let's go back to has everyone done the QR code? Does anyone need the QR code? All right, we're going to go back to the QR code. Let me know when I can go. All right, is everyone good with the QR code? You should, I'm hoping this talk only lasts about 20 or 30 minutes, and we should have 15 good minutes to bid on these items after we're done. All right, if we get close to 7 o'clock, let me know, but what time is it now? Yeah, we started a little late, so we might. Okay, I'm totally on the wrong page. Hold on. All right, so I'm Dr. Michael Huang. It's mostly my friends in here, so a lot of you all know me. You know that I'm a physician in real life. I have a full-time real job, full-time taking care of patients in the city of Lexington. I'm the medical director for the city's employee health clinic. I don't know where my wife is. She's doing what? Okay, well, I was going to thank her because she's the one that takes care of everything and allows me to have a full-time job and do all this photography. So you all tell her thank you for letting me go on this photographic journey. Let's see. All right. So there's the auction. And then we have a raffle also. You all pay $10 to get in. You get a raffle ticket. You can buy more $10 raffle tickets. That is a canvas print. It was senior day a couple years ago, and they don't let photographers on that end of the field before the game normally because of the recruits. But because it's senior day, the ceremony was in the end zone, so I got to stay when the players ran out. And it was just this beautiful day with these, really kind of neat clouds. And I said, man, this will be a neat picture if I can get all the clouds in there. So I'm laying on my stomach on Kroger Field getting this picture. And then Mark Stoops happens to be my neighbor, so he signed it for me. And then I took the print to the 15 club thing at Rupp Arena they had this year, the NIL Collective. And this is pretty much this year's team, all the stars, Devin Leary, Barry Brown, Dane Key. They've all signed this thing, Eli Cox. So that's for a raffle. I'm thinking the second prize in the raffle will be any other canvas. We'll have two winners. Any canvas you want, or anything that's not autographed in the whole show, you can pick that. So $10 more. Marion will sell you raffle tickets. So I've had is Keith Yarber still here? He was here earlier. All right, but he's a founder and publisher of Tops. I shoot the Derby for him. I've done work for the Cat's Paws. Drew Franklin is in here, and now I'm the kind of official team photographer for KSR. And that's really my friendship through Drew is what prompted that on, because Matt won't give me the time of day. But so I've shot some, covers of some magazines. So it's kind of funny. How it all started was this guy, Larry Glover. I don't know if you all have heard of him. He's a talk radio personality here in Lexington. He was the voice of the Lexington Legends for several years when he first started. Then he just started sports talk in Lexington for WVLK. He's been doing that for 20 years now. In 2010, I'm not a photographer. I'm Chinese. I like to take pictures. I have a decent eye for a good shot, but I never did anything professionally. I'm at the SEC tournament. I'm a K-Fund donor. I have season tickets in the lower arena. The donation at the time was $1,000 a seat, which, it's a lot. It's not enough to get good seats. So the SEC tournament rolls around. It's in Bridgestone Arena. I put in for tickets as a K-Fund donor, and I'm high enough on the donation list to get tickets, the good news. The bad news is my tickets were at the very top row of Bridgestone Arena. I'm looking down with my binoculars from the top row of Bridgestone Arena, and who's there on the floor on press row? Larry Glover, who has a radio show and a website. Afterwards, I say, I'm donating all this money. You get this for free. Let me be your photographer. Let's apply and see what happens. And he goes, yeah, great idea. He goes, I think I'll get you in for football. I have no idea about basketball. So 2010 football season, miraculously, I was approved. 1 week before the season starts. I own a DSLR camera. It's EOS Rebel T2 or something. It's like a $200 camera. But it's got interchangeable lenses. I don't know how to use it. I shoot on auto. I go to Murphy's Camera. I buy a 7D, which is, at the time it was a $1,500 camera, and a $1,500 lens, a 7200 2.8, and I'm a professional photographer. So that first game, I probably take 1,000 pictures. I only get like 20 good ones, but I get 20 good ones. And you put 20 good ones on Facebook in 2010, And now that's before all the photographers and social media really took off. And I'm like a superstar. I mean, Tops in Lexington says, we want to use your pictures, you know. And that's kind of how it all got started, shooting for Larry Glover. And this is probably the only really good, memorable shot from that entire football season that I got. But that's Randall Cobb scoring the 2-point conversion against South Carolina, and it ends up winning the game for us. We rushed the field, and I have that autographed picture that Randall Cobb autographed in my house, and, you know, the rest is history. So that basketball season, we actually get approved. And so I'm getting a little bit better. I'm starting to learn the settings. I'm kind of a perfectionist. I really don't want to suck. So I'm learning the settings, I'm learning how to use it, and basketball is actually much easier to shoot than football because you're assigned to one spot. It's right under the goal, and you know all the action, you know where it's going to go. Whereas in football, you got a huge field that you got to walk around. If the action goes one way, you don't get the right shot. So basketball is a little easier. So I got better and better. You know, that was just a good fan shot early on. I'm starting to get more artistic and learning that, you know, if you see something that you don't normally see in your eye, it's a more pleasing shot. So, you know, shots like that, that's George on the free throw line with the Spider-Man. Then Brandon Knight, that's the winning shot against Princeton in the Tampa St. Pete, you know, our first game. That's when George stuffed Sullinger, and you know we beat Ohio State, the overall #1 seed, and that's the celebration after. We ended up going to the Final Four. I shot the Final Four. Didn't get anything good that year because I was no good. Then we go on to football season. That's 2011. That's the Vanderbilt game that we got beat, you know, 152-0 on a cold, rainy, horrible day. And that's Patrick. And Drew Franklin has a lot to do with this story. You might remember this website, heartofbbn.com. That's my blog. And, you know, it's kind of, I write stuff. I don't post enough, but I'm going to start posting more. I got to choose a barrel Blanton's a few weeks ago. So I got a article about that. There's the Derby this year. I got my Alaska pictures on here. That's my printer. I print everything out myself. That's how I can have all these pictures and not be bankrupt. Another Alaska picture story, you know, that's the Derby. If you haven't read this story about my mother and how she inspired me and helped me shoot my first Derby, you need to read that one. And here's the story of Patrick. And so at some point, go to heartofbbn.com if you haven't seen this story. It's kind of pretty neat. All right, let's go back. Uh-oh, what have I done? All right. Oh, no. All right. So 2 weeks later, Joker was fired. That's when they carried him off the field. But the good news is that's 2011, 2012, and basketball season rolls around. And we end up winning the national championship with Anthony Davis, MKG, Darius Miller, and Deron Lamb. And this is kind of funny. This is probably the best picture I had taken up to the time I took it.
And the first picture he could take, if our house was on fire, he could take that picture before us kids.
That was what I'm going to say. Well, it's actually framed with AD, MKG, Darius Miller, Deron Lamb, and Calipari has signed it. So it really is like my most prized possession. And, you know, what makes this picture so really special to me is I was stationed here. This is the Superdome, Mercedes-Benz Dome, New Orleans. It's a football stadium, and I'm above the lower arena. I am a very far amount away from the action. I'm used to being under the basket, but because it's the Final Four and I'm shooting for Larry Glover, I don't really have that much access. But I'm just happy to be there. I probably got about, so Canon also, they're really smart. At the Final Four and the Derby, they have their professional services there. They lend cameras to photographers, you know, whatever you want. That's 300 millimeter lens. I didn't own one. That's a 1DX. I didn't own one. It's $12,000 of camera equipment. I took this picture with that camera equipment. I bought that camera and that lens after the Final Four was over. So, you know, I mean, it's true. I mean, yeah. So, but I just love that picture because if you said, describe the 2012 basketball season in one picture, that's it, right? So I love it. It's giving me goosebumps. And then because I was up top, I could use a wide angle and get that picture. I think that's a better picture than if I were on the floor. So I've got, you know, there's a canvas out there, $120, it's yours. Anthony Davis is out there, $120, it's yours. It's not autographed. And then this picture, you know, I think being up top in that, above the lower arena, I was in a better spot to get this picture than all these people crowded down here looking up. So, you know, that was part of my improvement as a photographer because I had the same, I learned from my mistakes in 2011 at the Final Four when I got nothing. And, well, I got a better camera, too, and a better lens. And then, so the basketball seasons go on. That's my brother's here. He's an author. People often confuse us, or they think that I'm his son, George Kamek. This is the cover to his book, Kentucky Passion. You can Venmo me the plug later. That's Aaron Harrison hitting the shot against Wisconsin in the Final Four to send us to the championship game. I was also up top there, and I pre-thought, how am I going? I'm going to use a wide angle shot and capture this picture, and it worked out. It was in focus. Willie Cauley-Stein murdered that Cincinnati dude at the Yum Center. I mean, if we had gone 40-0, this picture, I think I would have made $1 million on it. But we went 38-1. It was a remote camera set on the floor, and it's so lucky. Usually there's a ref, another player, something, and to get him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames with nobody in front of me, and just a really memorable play where that dude had to go into witness protection, you know. It really is one of my best pictures. I photoshopped them all together in the one shot. Tyler Eulis against Louisville, you know, that was his breakout game. Malik Monk dunking over this poor Asbury kid. You see William Gabriel and Bam Adebayo, all three had big parts in the NBA playoffs this year. One of my favorite pictures, this is a remote. They don't let you put remote cameras on the basket at Rupp Arena anymore unless you're, you know, ESPN. So, but this was mounted to the basket support and just a great picture of Bam. I love it with all the banners in the background. That's another remote shot of another happier time, probably our last happy moment, Rupp Arena. Football, we've had Josh Allen and Benny Snell, and what a great year that was. That's when Benny broke the all-time rushing record in the Citrus Bowl when we won. There's Citrus Bowl celebration. Lynn Bowden, I love this picture because of the rain, and that was like an 80-yard touchdown run. And then this guy, that's his daughter. And I mean, I just think that's about the best face painting thing I've ever seen. And I love shooting. I mean, if you're prepared for the rain, if your camera is covered and you're covered and you've got Gore-Tex around everything, you can get something like this. That's the Missouri game, and that's just one of my favorite fan pictures of all time. And then Wandale, like I said, $100 on the silent auction right now. I mean, I just love this picture because of the Florida guy on the ground, and big win. Will Levis, took some good pictures of him, and you know, I've kind of, and then of course Oscar. You know, what a great just person to photograph, person to be around, ambassador for the program, whatever. And NIL has changed all this for me. Before, I was kind of under the table with everything, with JMI and, not really having the rights to these pictures and selling somebody's likeness, but they couldn't profit off it. But now with NIL, they come to me because UK can't provide them any pictures. So I've got the guy from Athlete Essentials, Athlete Advantage, whatever, Commonwealth Causes, they're asking me, do you have some pictures that we can use? I go, sure. So I might give them, the rights to one and say, hey, can Wandale sign 20 of these back to me? And that's what I do. I could charge them money, but I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it for access, and I can donate these to charity for this cause like this. So, and I got to tell you, Wandale and Will Levis are two of just high quality people, and my wife's met them. They are so polite. Yeah. Will actually came to our house with his parents once, and it's just really nice. And then we did the KSR tornado relief telethon, and I had C-Rod, Josh Pascal, Wandale, and Will sign some prints, and I had each one sign a canvas of themselves, and it went for $12.20. And then we had another raffle of some stuff, and they raised a lot of money with those. And then Oscar, I got to go to the Bahamas. Unbelievably, KSR paid for me to go, which I couldn't believe because it was expensive. Yeah, and that's another thing about the wife. The wife couldn't go because it was the first week of school. We could not take Gabriel out of school on this first week. Sorry, Gabriel. I'll take you later. Tell Jack to move the end of the silent auction to 8:30, baby. To 7:30, 7:30, because we're going to finish this at 7. Hope no one's in a hurry. I got 15 more minutes. Is this okay? Anyone really bored? Really thirsty or hungry and need to go get your cookie? All right. So Oscar, Aaron and Trevor were at the Bahamas with me. It was crazy though. UK media, there was no media there. I don't know what happened. I think it was Matt saying how expensive the Baha Mar was, but it really wasn't any more expensive than Atlantis in my mind, and it was better. But media, there was Kyle Tucker of The Athletic, there was Keith Taylor of WLEX, and there was me and Jack Pilgrim of KSR. I think that was it. I was the only photographer there. And UK already can't do any NIL stuff. The players can't use any UK shot pictures for the NIL stuff. And Oscar, on his student visa, could work in the Bahamas. So he was doing NIL like crazy. And they had hired some photographers and other things for other things, but there were some things that they needed a photographer, and they paid me to take pictures one-on-one with Oscar. When they should have said, how much money will you pay to take pictures of Oscar? But, so for Fan Outfitters, they brought all his T-shirts, and I took pictures of him in all his Fan Outfitters T-shirt, and he and Cal were going to do a billboard. I took one of that. So really got to know Oscar because of that, and he is just also exactly who you think he is in terms of his interaction with fans and people and media and whatever. Just a super, super sweet, nice guy. So once again, QR code on the auctions. This Oscar, like I said, this was a whole different event. Drew was at this, and Maria was the MC for this event. This was the Medicinal Whiskey Gala. You see that I'm dressed in a little more formal attire. People paid hundreds of dollars to come to this thing. Got lots of bourbon and, lots of rich people drinking lots of bourbon. Oscar went for $825. Exact same thing, just it says God is good instead of praise Jesus. So if you're going to get them for $100, you're going to get a deal. I'm not saying he's worth $825. It's worth whatever you think it's worth. If I were to sell this, just because of how rare it is, I'd probably ask for $300, honestly. So right now it's going for $100. It might be going for more. Will Levis at a different charity auction went for $305. He's $100 right now. Now, this is crazy. Who's been to the Coaches for the Kids event at Mount Brilliant Farm? Carl Nathan's been there. Mia's been there. Drew, have you not been?
One of the earlier.
Okay. So this is Coach Stoops's and the coaching staff, their bourbon and cigar event at this horse farm where they cater a steak and lobster dinner, and they sell tables for, I think it's tables of 8 for $1,000 to $15,000. So it's about, a minimum of $400 or $500 a person to go to this. So, and everyone's drinking bourbon and smoking cigars. The Wandale picture that's in the silent auction, that's no bids, that was signed by Wandale, but also C-Rod, Will, and Pascal and Stoops. A bottle of our original Wildcat Love Fayette County Alumni Club bourbon signed by Stoops. I donated that with that. And then the football office donated a signed football, $2,500. No, I mean, it's just rich people. I mean, I'm not saying somebody's gonna buy Wandale for more than $120 here, but I'm just saying comparatively, you are getting a bargain. So it's all going to scholarships, the Fayette County Alumni Club Scholarship Endowment. So if you want something, just put $200 or $300 on it, please. All right. And I'm not making money on this. This is all donated to the Fayette County Club. All right, so let's go to horses. So this is a shot, remember the Louisville lot in Keeneland? So this is before I was even credentialed. So this is just me taking my EOS T2 camera with a cheap kit lens in really good sunlight, at the Louisville lot, which is the backstretch. That's closed now. It's all valet parking or whatever. But you can get good pictures just going to Keeneland and not having a credential. That's what makes Keeneland so beautiful, I think. Churchill Downs, now this takes a credential. This was Oaks Day. I was inside the rail there. And these are remote, this is a remote camera shots. I was talking with Susan. All my best horse pictures that you just see an angle you're not used to seeing is the remote under the camera. So it's like under the rail. It's a remote control camera that, I'm pressing a button or, it's radio connected to the camera in my hand, and while I'm shooting a picture, it's also firing. You pre-focus it on where you think the horse is going to run through, and you have the settings right, because you just can't be there under the rail because you'll spook the horses. But pictures like this are pretty amazing in my mind. That's my first Oaks that I shot. That's lovely Maria. Maria Montgomery has this one in her house because lovely Maria. And that's what a remote camera looks like. That's you setting it up. You're not allowed to be there when the race runs. You have to fire that camera remotely. And then, we've had some really rainy Derby days, so you just need to make sure your camera's well covered. And then if you go back to that Heart of BBN website, the story of this picture and how my mom helped me take it a year after she died is pretty special to me, and y'all can read about that. So this is my remote. This is the camera in my hand. So while I was taking this camera, it was connected through radio frequency transmitter to my remote camera, and it took this picture. This is the same picture at the same time. So it's kind of neat. That's the Breeders' Cup at Keeneland several months later. Got a canvas of that for sale. This is Justify. Like I said, I love the dramatic rain shots. That's the finish of Mike Smith. That's in this silent auction too. This is Maximum Security, crossing the finish line first. As you know, he was disqualified, just minutes later, and Country House was declared the winner. This is the pandemic. Look at Churchill Downs when no fans were allowed. That's authentic. And this is really, really, really one of my all-time favorite pictures because of how lucky it was. I mean, look at the focus on that horse, and it is right looking coming at you. I mean, it's like you were standing there at the finish line, and it was running towards you. But that's just a lucky shot, I mean, you got to give luck a chance to happen. That's what Harvey Penick says. But I think that was a lucky, but one of my favorite shots. This is the different remote, because it was the pandemic, there were very few photographers, so I actually got like 4 remotes, so got to choose my best one. So that's the other one. You can see there's actually more fans than none. Those are all the horse people, the jockeys' wives, the trainers' families, whatnot, were allowed to go. And Johnny Velasquez, who was the jockey aboard Authentic, I'll tell you the story. She's supposed to be here. Mindy Lynn Coleman is the lady up top there. She is the attorney for the Jockeys Guild, and she's a legal counsel. So she basically represents all the jockeys across America. And she gets everything that I take signed, and she has a charity that she's involved with, the Permanently Disabled Jockey Fund, and so I'll print out canvases, and she'll get Johnny to sign 20 of them, and she'll take 10, and I'll take 10, and then we donate them to charity and whatnot. So the funny thing about Johnny, he's crossed the finish line 4 times first. He was disqualified after the fact on Medina Spirit, so he's actually officially won 3 derbies. In 2011, I was at Harry's in Palomar, and he and 2 other jockeys were there, and I said, God, these guys are jockeys. You can tell jockeys, right? And I just started making small talk with them, and no pun intended. I didn't even mean to say that. And I said, do you know my friend Mindy Lynn? He goes, oh my God, she's a great friend. And we devised a prank where I called her and said, you've got some trouble here. Some jockeys are in have a bit of a problem here at Harry's in Palomar, and I don't know what it means, but they say to call Johnny. And she ended up calling Johnny, and she came out and met us, and we took a crappy picture, and the rest is history. He won the Derby a week later, his first one on Animal Kingdom. So that was kind of funny. So I might be his good luck charm. So back to the auction. At that medicinal whiskey thing, Justify went for $550. And then for a Permanently Disabled Jockey Fund thing, this same Authentic went for $375. So, you're getting a bargain. The more remote shots, the Oaks runs an hour before the Derby on Friday instead of Saturday. I'm not sure why. The light at the Oaks is so much better. You can see with the Derby, the sun starts going down past the grandstand, and you can see it's a shadow across the track and it's sunlight behind. It's the worst light in the world. I wish they would run the Derby earlier or later where it would be completely dark, but that's exactly the worst time for photos. But sometimes you get a good one. That's Rich Strike. That's Rich Strike again. And this is Mage, this year's winner. He was 15th coming through the first turn. You can see all the dirt getting kicked in his face. And then that's him winning the race. That's just a fun horse picture at Churchill Downs. Keeneland is so beautiful. The light's always great at Keeneland because the sun's coming. When you're sitting in those boxes, the sun is beating down on your face. When you're shooting that way, the light's perfect. So I like shooting Keeneland. Now, shooting from the track the other way, you get some light problems, but you can that was a sunset at the Breeders' Cup. You never get a Keeneland sunset with horses because April and October, it gets dark too late. But because the Breeders' Cup was in November in the last race, you kind of got a sunset. Another Bluegrass Stakes picture. I just think Keeneland's so cool. And you can take this picture without a media credential. Just belly up against a rail and take your camera and take that. Same thing there. Same thing there. Take that from up in the stands. Same thing there. Horses in the snow. We went to a horse farm, Michelle and I. She got up on the fence and started whistling and saying, hey, horses. She was talking, and they all looked up at her, and I snapped that picture. So that's just, I think, a beautiful horse picture. Coolmore Farm, that's just a tour to see American Pharoah. All the baby horses are always popular. These are squirrels and birds on my back deck. I got bird seed out on the windowsill and the little tufted titmouse flies right onto the windowsill. I've got my remote camera set up. I'm just, and I get that picture. I mean, I just think the twill pattern of his feathers is really nice. I've got all these animal glamour shots, but I got a deal out there. You can have all of them for like $30. That's Harrington Lake. That's Jacobson Park. So you don't have to go far. Now, of course, this is with my expensive 300 millimeter lens, but these are some nice pictures just in our own neighborhood. This is Florida, a pelican and a snowy egret. That is an osprey shooting poop out of his butt in Belize. But I think it's one of my greatest pictures. And it can be yours for $20 out there. Bald eagles in Alaska, bald eagles in Alaska, bald eagles in Alaska. You think these are really great pictures, but bald eagles are like robins in Alaska. That's my friends on the beach. I mean, they're just flying everywhere, and we're like right there. And then bears, you can go to this place called Brooks Falls, where you stand on a platform and you watch all the bears as the salmon jump upstream trying to get away from them. And, that's just unbelievable. That salmon says that's the oh crap moment of I swam thousands of miles upstream to end my life like this. Other bears, baby moose. That's in the backyard of my Airbnb. I mean, it's just like, I love Alaska. That's a boat where Susan Kennedy, she loves that picture. She bought it from me. It's a fishing trawler, but it's just painted bright red, and it's beautiful. Napa Valley, my wife has these up in our dining room. Blanton's, this is Buffalo Trace. So I just started taking pictures of distilleries, and like I said, I got to take a behind-the-scenes tour of Buffalo Trace and pick a barrel of Blanton's for that medicinal whiskey charity. And so we got to taste this Blanton's right out of the barrel, but I took good pictures while we went. I got to sign the barrel that's mine. It's not all mine. I get 2 bottles out of it. Woodford Reserve, that's just on a tour of Woodford Reserve. I took these pictures. This is the Brown-Forman cooperage in Louisville where they char the bourbon barrels. I don't know if they have tours or not. This was like 12 years ago. I shot this for the cover of the Bourbon Review magazine. So I got to go, and they didn't even use my picture. But I'm selling it. It's $120 for whoever wants it. I've got Chimney Top. This is where my wife's from, Red River Gorge. I've got the Bengals game versus the Raiders. That I didn't have a press pass for that, but I didn't have a photo pass. I had a press pass. So I brought my camera. I wasn't allowed on the field, so I went to the very top and took this picture as the sun went down. And I mean, I think it's really pretty cool. You got a sunset, you got Cincinnati, you got the river, and you probably got one of the biggest wins in Bengals history, with the record crowd in Paul Brown Stadium. So I got really lucky on that one. This weekend, I'm doing Arts on the Green in Crestwood. If you are bored and you want to drive just outside of Louisville, it's like the Woodlands Arts Fair, but it's in Crestwood, Kentucky. Arts on the Green, look it up. It's Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 4 and 11 to 4. And that's me last year selling my stuff. All right, QR code, and that's about it. I can take questions here, or we can just take questions. Does anyone have questions for the good of the group? Yeah. My brother. Oh, no. This is like Calipari can't stand his questions in the press conferences.
Now, when we were growing up, Mama was so big into education. She stressed math, science. I'm kind of wondering, where do you think you got this, and what would she be thinking of?
Yeah, I don't know. She's very frugal. So growing up, when we had to develop film and buy film, she would let me take 1 picture per landmark. So like we went to Paris, and I could take 1 picture of the Eiffel Tower, 1 picture of the Arc, 1 picture somewhere else, and so I think that got me to be a little bit better and really start framing pictures because I knew I only had 1 shot. So I don't know. I think she really enjoyed, she had Alzheimer's, but I think she enjoyed looking at my picture. I mean, I really started my career after she developed Alzheimer's, so, it's hard to know. Next question. I mean, I love, UK sports is what got me into it. So, I mean, there's nothing like a big football game. I mean, it's so exciting. Like going down to LSU or Georgia or Tennessee. I mean, that's fun. It really is. And even Kroger Field, the atmosphere is getting much, much better. And going to the Final Four, I mean, I think for my love of UK, that's probably still what I love doing. But the horses have to be a close second. And, I love going to Alaska, wildlife. So everything you see, I love taking pictures of. I mean, it's why I think I try to take pictures that people, feel something, I don't want to just document. I want to make you feel something. Drew Franklin.
Can you recommend one or two good spots nearby to take horse pictures or see cities like that?
Yeah, 100%. You are allowed to bring your camera into Keeneland. Go to Keeneland and go on a horse farm tour. Or you don't even need a tour. A lot of times I'm driving down Paris Pike and I pull off onto a side street, I pull into the grass, and I walk along the fence when I see babies running around. Honestly, I don't know if that's legal or safe, but horse farm tours, these bourbon tours, if you want those bourbon barrel pictures, I mean, I love them. I mean, I went to Maker's Mark with Tam Tam this weekend. Oh! Baseball game last night. So I print everything myself. I printed a couple of these, and I didn't realize that everybody wants one. So talk to me or Tanya, and if you want this size, matted like this, of the game last night, it's $50. Then the smaller size is $20. So just talk to me. But everybody wanted it. Like, we've already sold like 5. You got to strike while the iron's hot, All right. Yes.
Some of the horses' pictures, this time there's a different question, but find us for that. So, all 4 legs are up.
Yes.
So how hard is that to get that?
With the expensive camera that Canon, made me buy, not that hard because it takes like 7 frames a second. Okay, so, a lot of it's the equipment. You still got to know how to use it. You got to know how to use light, but if you don't have good equipment, it's very, very hard. It'd be luck,
If you've seen the original photos of the very first biomechanics pictures of the horses running that they proved that all 4 feet were off the ground
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah, well, I've heard of it. I haven't.
Well, you can
Yeah,
go back and look at the
yeah,
original. It's one of the things
yeah,
they first teach you
yeah,
at UK when
yeah,
you do biomechanics.
yeah.
They'll show you, and it was at UK in the biomechanics area over there in the horse research, but there's pictures that show you the very first photos of horses with 4 legs off the ground.
Awesome.
And if I had half a brain left, I would actually tell you what year that was in.
All right, why don't we go look at pictures, eat and drink, and or do we want to give them a few more minutes to buy raffle tickets? Would anyone buy more raffle tickets now knowing Drew Franklin? So we'll do a raffle out there real quick.